All right, this is my assignment for week 2. So I'm just going to start discussing some of the things in the reading and PowerPoint presentation that I found interesting. First was the discussion of moral development. So we talked about 3 different ways that moral development occurs. So moral development occurs within the individual, and real moral development cannot be produced by outside factors or merely engaging in moral acts. People develop morally when they become aware of their reasons for acting a certain way. So these moral development quotes are each from the reading. So then there's the that's the not the Christians at all, the other one. Moral development parallels intellectual development. Although the two may proceed at a slightly different pace, there can be little more development until a person has attained a certain intellectual capacity. And moral development occurs in a series of universal, unwavering, and hierarchical stages. So this reading also talked about this study where they studied different stages of kids creating rules for games, and when they got higher, they noticed that the kids were creating rules for the younger kids that allowed them to more fairly practice the game. So it just sort of tracked how our morality comes with age and comes with time and discovering maybe that other people aren't always on the same, this sounds like wrong, but always on the same level. Like these, the reading also referenced how people with certain disabilities or certain ages are excluded from certain laws because they don't have the mental capacity to understand the impact of their actions. The reading also talked about the different levels of morality, which I'm not going to totally get into, but it discussed how the person who came up with this emphasized the importance of learning from someone on a higher level than you, and usually people of a certain level can understand one level above themselves. So you can be a certain level of morality, and most people I think they mentioned are at the 3 and 4 level, but can understand one level above themselves. Then also there's the Potter box model of reasoning, and so that has definitions, loyalties, principles, and values. So definitions would include all facts that or issues that arise in a situation. Loyalties are who the decision maker has loyalties or allegiance to. So that could be a company, themselves, a friend, the world, any manner of things. It talks about principles, which are like the ethical philosophies or modes of reassuring that may be applicable to certain facts or situations. And then values, sociocultural values, moral, logical, professional, any values that, anything that influences values that you hold and, where they come from and how those things apply. And then I found this quote in the second reading that, actually I have 2 quotes in the second reading that I really liked that I wrote next to each other, which is, our disagreements often result from seeing the same events differently, and our values constitute our frame of reference. So we might both experience the same thing, but we could have different views about it because we see it differently, and that all comes from our values. So I just thought that was pretty interesting. And then moving on over, we talked more about some of the people we talked about last week, Aristotle, Mills, Kant, and this quote from Aristotle was basically saying that moral value, well, this is the quote from Aristotle, which says, moral value is a fixed quality of the will, consisting essentially in a middle state as determined by the standard that a person of practical wisdom shall apply. We also then talked about Nicomachean ethics, which states that not all things have this middle ground, listing things like adultery, theft, and murder as intrinsically wicked. We also dove into some new ideas, new thoughts, which was Islam's divine commandment, which is justice, human dignity, and the truth are unconditional duties. Rawls' veil of ignorance, justice emerges when negotiating without social differentiations. Judeo-Christian ideas, which is love thy neighbor as thyself. Nodding's relational ethics, the one caring attends to the cared for in thoughts and deeds. Ubuntu's human's dignity, treat all humans with respect by friendly relations. So those are some new philosophical or ethical ideas that we hadn't dove into previously. And then the end of the reading talked about who we owe our moral duty to, and it listed ourselves, clients, organizations, professional colleagues, and society, which I totally agree with. So yeah, I'm about to go over the 5 minutes, so I'll end it here, but that is a summary of our readings and in-class presentation for the week.